And we're live. So, how are you? How have you been?
I've been pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I saw a therapist for the first time, which was interesting.
Really? How did that
Yeah.
go?
It went well. The only bad thing was the website that I used to book the appointment. Apparently, chronically double books this woman with appointments.
Oh, man.
So my first time I was supposed to see her, the appointment got canceled. And then the second time, she ended up running like 35 minutes late because they had double booked her again. But I did eventually get to see her, which is cool. So.
Is it an online thing or do you actually go down there?
I could do either. I chose to do online just because it's easier for me. Her office is actually right by where I work, but I'm lazy and I'm not going to go all the way down to my workplace on my day off.
Yeah.
So I just did it over like telehealth. So yeah, that was cool.
And how do you feel about, I imagine, like, how personal did you get on the first?
Honestly, I hate talking about stuff like that, so I didn't. I told her what she needed to know, and that was basically it.
I cannot, I just feel like our type is probably like the worst to go to therapy,
Yeah.
Because it's just, I'm the same. Like, I hate talking about these things. I feel like if you're not someone that I'm close with, I mean, even the people that I'm close with, I'm not gonna. So
I apologize for the cat meowing and playing with a toy in the background.
It's okay. It's okay. My cat is about, at some point she will cry as well. So
Aww.
This is an INTJ podcast. Of course we're gonna have
there's gonna have cats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so I'm curious as to how, like, because I feel, when it's someone that you don't know, you have to kind of skip from 0 to,
Yeah. So basically, we talked for about 45-ish minutes. Well, maybe a little less than 45 minutes. I had just a really hard time, I didn't want to get into, like, too much depth with her. And then, like, it was just, I just don't like talking about, like, my feelings. Like, I've always been that way. And I'm sure you can relate. Like, it just feels
100%, yeah.
awkward. But, she eventually sent me over, like, a questionnaire, and then I just did that. And then she's like, okay, like, I'm going to look at your results now and just kind of go from there, which was much easier because all I had to do was just, click on the screen and then she would look at it.
Yeah, I do feel like maybe, when you have something like that is kind of purposeful and I don't know what to call it, but it's like you get to it through a task, then it might be easier for us, I guess, than just, finding ourselves sitting across, the table from someone and you just have this, like, from where do I begin to attack this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, so I mostly went because of anxiety. And this is a fairly new thing for me. I've never gone to therapy before. Feeling anxious, I think it has to do with my job since I have to be a little more extroverted at my job, and I think it's just causing me a lot of burnout. So when she's like, okay, like, how have you been, like, explain to me, I kind of, froze up. I'm like, I don't know how to explain this. Like, I just started feeling this way.
Yeah.
Like, I can barely process, like, how I'm feeling. How am I supposed to explain this to somebody who I just met 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I feel the same, and it's just, I don't know, like, I feel like processing and dealing with emotions requires so much energy that I would just rather put it in a box and not have to deal with it.
I feel like I'm pretty good at kind of compartmentalizing my energy. Like, I have a certain amount of energy I'll dedicate to this task and to this task, and then processing emotions, and that's just not part of my routine. So I just kind of shove things aside. I'm like, I'll deal with that later. And then
I think that's something that happens or like comes with age, because when I was younger, and especially as a teenager, I think that I used to feel a lot more, or like I used to give feelings a lot more weight. Like there's a part of me that thinks that sometimes think that maybe I was even an INFJ at one point, or like right on the border, and then I just kind of, just crossed over. I don't know what to call it, but I just started favoring thinking more, and it just happened gradually. But I just realized that it's just not good for me to make decisions from an emotional place.
Yeah.
And I think, it's not a one size fit all, because I genuinely feel that, some people are good when they're making decisions, like it works for them, but it just doesn't for me. And past experience also taught me that, but also like I just changed, and it's let's say it's not likely that it will ever happen to me again now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine myself suddenly switching, to being a feeler again. It's not
Right.
It's not going to happen.
So, quick question. I know, like, both of us have taken a lot of MBTI tests online. Do
Right.
you know, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before, actually, what your second, like, most likely type is? Because I always get the same one as my second result every time, and I'm curious to know if yours is similar.
I think that mine was an ENTJ, but it makes sense because INTJA, the assertive ones. I mean, if you see me, around other people and like having to, sink or swim in a situation, essentially, then I will swim, and I could look like, an Olympian champ, but it doesn't mean that I am an extrovert. Not at all.
Right.
Like at the end of the event, when I go home, I will need 4 days to recover, and I wouldn't want to listen to anyone. And it's just, you put your best leg forward, but it doesn't mean that I'm an extrovert. I don't actually love it.
Right.
I might love bits and pieces. But it also, like, I feel like it also depends on my mood a lot, because sometimes I will find myself in a social situation where I just don't feel like being social. So I will stand there with a bunch of people and I will watch a lot more than I will perform.
Yep.
And I would not say anything unless I have something smart to add to the conversation. Right. I mean, it really depends. Like, sometimes I just feel like acting a fool. And it also, like, depends on, it also, like, depends on the people that you surround yourself with. Because just give me an ENTP. You will see my glowing personality.
I feel like if I'm surrounded by extroverts, then I don't become extroverted. I do the thing like what you just said, where I kind of observe, because I feel like sometimes when you're surrounded by extroverts, getting a word in edgewise, it's not even worth it. It doesn't feel worth the energy. But yeah, actually, my type that I was second for me was INTP.
Really?
Yeah.
That is interesting. So your thinking and perceiving must be like somewhat on the border there. I'm very judgy. I'm very high on judging, and also I'm very high on introvert. Like I got last time, I got like 91%. It was crazy.
Yeah. My introvert was, I think actually mine was probably around 90% as well. But I like to go out and do things, but I have to do them by myself. Like I like to go out by myself and like explore the city, or like I'll go out like with my best friend. Like that's really it. Like I don't want to put myself into social situations.
Yeah, group stuff is just icky.
And I think that's part of the reason why I'm suffering burnout too, is because when I'm at work, I have to basically be an extrovert, and I don't have that time to come back and recover, because I'm obviously going to work again the next day, and I have to do the same thing. And I have 2 days off in a row, and that's like my recharge time. And then I have 5 days where I'm on, and I don't get that time to kind of recover my energy. So
yeah, you have to maintain that level for quite a while. I hear you. I really do. It's kind of interesting what you're saying, because it brings me back to the story time.
Our part 2.
Yeah, because I mean, this is gonna turn out so much longer than I thought. But one tidbit that we'll probably get to it like on a deeper level, I guess. But so you were saying that you feel more introverted, or like you act more introverted in the presence of extroverts, and it kind of brings me back to, because we were talking, there was a lot of incel talk and alpha, beta, all that bullshit on the server back then. And we had more men than women, I think, or like it was a relatively even ratio, but I think that we had more men than women, just because the content that he was making was speaking more to men. But there was a lot of discussion about inceldom and today's society, and we're a society of strangers, and people don't really hookup culture and all that shit. And a lot of the kind of, what's it called, I forgot, like the Chad versus, I forgot the other guy's name, but essentially
the beta,
like yeah. So all of that, and I remember like one time I was asked from a female perspective, like, how do you perceive an alpha male versus a beta male, yada yada. And it's like, I don't think in these terms, because I just feel like different people get a different you out of you, if that makes sense. Right. So like I am a pretty dominant person, but watch me in the company of an ENTJ person. Watch me in the company of an ENTP person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it all depends on the dynamic.
Absolutely.
So even if, say, you're a dominant person, it only takes someone who's more dominant than you to turn you into a submissive. Yeah. Right?
That's fair.
So, and it's just, and I've seen it. I've seen it with, I don't meet a lot of people who are more intense than me, but they exist. I don't meet a lot of people who know what they want as just the way that I do, because I am, if I may say so, I do consider myself to be someone who is pretty confident and knows what they want. And I can tell you that a lot of people don't know what they want. Right. And like, they will tell you what they don't want, but they don't know what it is that they do want.
They have like a very vague idea of what they want.
Yeah, or you know what? Sometimes you think that you want something, and then you get it, and then you realize that this is the worst thing. The worst thing that ever happened to you is, living your fantasies, meeting your heroes. That is like the worst thing. When your wishes come true, you realize that it was a disaster.
That's funny that you say that, because I actually just saw a thread on Reddit today about what was your worst don't meet your idol experience, and some of the answers kind of surprised me. Not gonna lie.
Like bad celebrity experiences?
Yeah. The one that really struck me was Idina Menzel. Apparently, somebody was saying that they... I
have no idea what that is.
She was in Wicked. She's like a Broadway actress, and then she got into like a little bit... I think she was on Glee. She was in the Rent movie.
She was on Glee? I don't remember her on Glee.
I think she was, yeah. Like a few episodes, maybe.
Okay.
But anyway, she's like a Broadway star, and she always seemed very, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't know much about her. She always seemed very wholesome, but apparently somebody said that they had the opportunity to meet her and like the rest of the cast of Wicked, and apparently she like wouldn't come out of her dressing room because she said, I don't want to meet some fucking kid, leave me alone. And I'm like, wow, okay. Damn.
Disgusting.
That's rough.
Oh God.
Anyway.
Yeah, you know what? I read something today. I'm just gonna share it real quick. So my celebrity crush, Jason Momoa, right? So I read today that he's on the cast of he's making some kind of gaming movie. I forgot what it was, like right now.
Oh, is it the Minecraft movie or something?
I think so.
I think it is, yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but all I remember is that he's wearing a ridiculous wig. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure that's the, yeah.
So this actress, like she's just taking her first steps in the industry. I have no idea who she is, but apparently she was bad mouthing him and saying that he, he's not nice to be around on set. That he was shouting at the crew there that they would get things wrong, and he just got really angry and aggressive. Blah blah blah.
Huh.
And yeah, and then someone added that Amber Heard's therapist shared her notes, and in those notes Amber tells her that he used to show up drunk on set, and he used to tear out the last pages of her book because he thought that she didn't pay enough attention to him, like an errant child.
I've heard mixed things about him. Like I've heard like on the, I feel like I heard on the Game of Thrones set he was like totally cool to work with, but then like I think I've heard other things like that similar to that, how he was kind of a nightmare. So I honestly don't know which side to believe with him.
I never heard anything bad about him before.
I could kind of see him being a douche. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
He's such a Papa Bear. I don't know.
I can see him either being like the nicest guy ever or just a total douche. Like I feel like he really could go either way. I don't know. That's just the vibe I get.
Maybe I'm just blinded by the packs. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm so biased, honestly. There's just something about him. I don't know what it is. Probably all the muscles and the tats.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the story. So yeah, it really made me think that, it really depends on like the people that you're with and also your mood, but it's just different dynamics between different people, so it's kind of hard to say who's a beta, who's an alpha, who is an omega,
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the story. I don't even remember where we stopped.
Oh, they were asking you what you thought like an alpha male was, right?
Yeah, but it do mean like at the end of the last episode. I think that was it like when I visited London and then Gareth was being so weird about it.
Yeah, I believe that was it.
So yeah, the thing is that he was barely on the server. Like this was his server dedicated to, his channel, yada yada. And one thing that he used, except for like the book reviews, he would once in a while release a video concerning or like about a social phenomenon, or like again like stuff like hookup culture or I don't know, OnlyFans, what else? A certain book, like he did one for Lolita actually, and he was, kind of saying why this is the best literary work ever, blah blah blah. And those videos he would really invest in, but the thing is, he would release a video like that once in, I'm not even exaggerating, 5-6 months or so. So like if this is your posting pace, it's gonna be very, very hard to keep people interested. Yeah. And I mean, even if you gain a new subscriber, how are you gonna keep them around if all you do is these stupid live streams? You're just bitching about everything.
He doesn't actually post videos anymore, right? It's just live streams?
Yeah, it's just live streams. And
how many viewers does he get on average on his live streams?
I think around 20.
Okay.
It's not great. And the thing is, this is very ironic. He's always, talking about how when you're crawling on TikTok or like social media in general, like you get that adrenaline rush, right? Well, not a drug. What's it called? Like I
Like a
forgot.
dopamine hit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you get that, and then it wears off after a few seconds. So for
He's doing his live streams to get his little dopamine hit, and then he's like, okay, see you a month
Basically.
later. Bye.
those streams he does every Saturday. Even now.
Huh. I thought it was a lot more infrequent than that for some reason.
Those are the only things that he's been consistent about, and I think that again it's for that reason. And also, like, he was in acting school, and he's an actor through and through. It's really hard to
Acting school.
Yeah, it's really hard to, I feel like it's very hard to get to the heart of him, like to figure out who he really is, because it's almost like a mirror. Like there's it's very, very bad essentially, because you don't really, I don't know, it almost doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like a person.
Yeah.
And not in a good way.
Let's be honest. How many social media stars and influencers do you feel are 100% genuine? Because I feel like the number is incredibly low.
No one, but like the thing about him is that he is, in many, many ways, he's your average Joe, because he went to acting, like he's got this tragic story, and I feel like at first sight, because there's who Gareth is at first sight, and then who Gareth is when you start realizing like what's actually going on. And at first, like, you have the story about this guy, he used to live in Spain, he had a girlfriend, it all went south, he had dreams about making a career for himself in acting, and then it all went to shit. He used to work as a barista. He doesn't even work now. And hasn't been working since COVID, mind you. Like, this is very, very, very bad.
So I'm curious of how he receives any income then.
I know, everyone does. We've been trying to...
Because clearly it's not from his 20-person live streams.
Yeah, it's... So, the thing is, and this is another thing that I at first, like, I was blind to it, to be honest with you. But he would do these live streams, and then he would kind of, wink wink at people to donate money, because there's an option to donate throughout the live stream.
Okay.
And, he would constantly, like, every single stream, even now, when you're watching it, even if it starts on a certain note, it will, after 15, 20 minutes tops, it's gonna go down the black pill route. And then he's gonna bitch about how expensive everything is, and, like, how hard it is to live in England and to afford things. And it's like, and he used to work as a barista, and then, with COVID quarantines, all these food places and restaurants, all that, they got shut down, and they took a major hit, which I get. But I mean, I was in London in September 2022, and all places were open and, back in business. So it's like, what's your excuse, really? And I feel like he's just proud and doesn't want to work. And, just suffers from that Peter Pan syndrome. Kind of, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to do... Seriously, I don't want to do...
No, I believe it.
I don't want to do the 9-to-5 thing, because I'm a reader and I'm a thinker, and, like, I'm better than this, And it's like...
I'm not surprised.
And I do, and you know what? I get it. And I think that all of his subscribers can relate to that. I know that I can relate to that. I don't, I study and work part-time. Is it my dream job? No. Do I want to do something else way better? Do I think that I can do better than this? Hell yeah. But
oh, absolutely. But the thing is if you need to support yourself, you need to just at least temporarily suck it up and just do it.
Exactly.
Don't just beg for money from your viewers.
That's what being an adult is.
Yes, exactly.
You need to pay the bills. So you do something that you don't really want to do. So it's either that or prostitution. So I think we should ask ourselves. if he's standing in street corners, I don't know what's going on.
Maybe he has like an OnlyFans or something where he doesn't show his face.
I find it very hard to believe, but you know what? Crazier things have happened.
On his stream, like, yeah, OnlyFans is such a huge problem, and then it secretly just like has an account where he's making his this little side hustle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fucking the system from within. Literally. But yeah, so okay, so we're gonna talk about Gareth's book, but before we get to that, I would just like to state, because this is definitely relevant, that this week I finished Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I loved it. I will talk about it at the end of the stream when we get to Rex, but anyone who doesn't know, and this is a spoiler, so just fast forward if you don't want me to spoil the book for you, but the twist in Jane Eyre, Jane the poor orphan that, like, how do I put this? She started working for Mr. Rochester. He's wealthy, he is handsome, he's charming, and he's got this girl, not his daughter, but like this girl that he keeps around, and she needs an governess. Anyways, so she falls in love with him, and then he asks her to marry him, and then she finds out that he's got a crazy wife that he's holding up in the attic because he can't live with her because she's insane. So this will, just the Floridian slips and just how everything aligns is just beautiful, and you're gonna get this later on. But yeah, let's just talk about Gareth's book. So I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but he absolutely adores Nabokov for writing Lolita, right?
Mm-hmm. And relevant, he also used to be a barista.
Right. So, I mean, Lolita there are no words for it, except for the controversial bit about a pedophile, lusting after a 14-year-old, which is fucked up. I mean, we can all agree it's fucked up. It really is a masterpiece, and especially when you consider that Nabokov wrote it originally in English, which is not even his mother tongue, right?
Yes.
It's just it's written, it's fucking poetry, in storytelling form.
I actually just reread it recently too.
Oh my goodness,
it's fresh in my mind now.
It's so fucking good.
It is.
Now, I'm not going to mention the name of the book or any of that, because the purpose of this is telling a story, not advertising anything.
Right.
But a lot of people who came across Gareth's work, I mean, he wrote other things as well, but this is, like, I would say his main piece. A lot of people who read the book inevitably compare it to Lolita, because both of these stories revolve around an older man in a sexual romantic, debatable romantic relationship with a minor, a girl who's a minor. And also both books have the name of the girl as the title, the book title. And that's all I'm gonna say. But other than that, I don't really see any similarities, to be honest. First of all, Gareth's book is considered, both of them are considered transgressive fiction, but I mean, you can't really put them on the same level. It's not that I think that Gareth is a bad writer. A lot of his subscribers actually kind of trash talked about it. I'm sorry, but I don't think that he is a bad writer. And honestly, I quite enjoyed that read. I think I read the book like twice. Both of these pieces are considered transgressive fiction, but Nabokov is obviously classic. This is contemporary, and the main thing is that Gareth's piece is not like it's not dealing with timeless subjects. That is the main, I would say. I don't know if it's a problem, because ultimately I feel like that is what contemporary is. It just it's relevant for the time being, but in 200, 300 years from now, it's not going to do anything. It will no longer be relevant.
Yeah, if you're reading Lolita and can't pick up on the themes, if all you see is just a book about a pedophile, you're clearly not reading into the book enough.
Yeah. And plus, it really is, just the themes are so timeless that it will be relevant 500 years from now. So
I have a question about his book. I did read a summary of it.
Yeah.
What is the actual theme? Like, what are the themes of the book besides just being about a pedophile?
So when you read the book, because I feel like every person kind of that I know who read the book kind of saw it differently. Personally, I saw it as the guy is not. I would not consider because it is being told from the narrator's point of view, like just like Humbert, but he's not a pedophile, or a hebephile as Humbert is. When you read Lolita, Humbert tells you what an infet is, right? He says, basically in his own words, that not every 14-year-old is my type,
right?
But there are certain, like, even if I'm looking at a group of 14-year-olds, I can probably find one who is an infet. She kind of has this halo around her. That is not the narrator in Gareth's book. That is not it. He meets this one girl. He never had a history of like being attracted to a girl, etc. It's just this one girl. And I feel like it also, like, it meets him at a certain point in his life where everything's just so shit that...
Does the character have a history of relationships with adult women?
Yes.
Okay.
And nothing with minors before.
Okay.
So he works as a barista, right? And then she walks in one time, like she walks in with her parents, and he obviously finds her attractive, intriguing, yada yada. And then apparently this girl, she's got an incredible taste in books because she reads what he considers high literature. Like, I don't know what to call it, but this is a girl who reads fucking Welbeck, and she's 14 years old, and she's reading Welbeck and Lolita, and I don't know what else, like stuff that is not really attainable. It doesn't make sense in real life whatsoever.
Yeah,
but this is like his perfect, I don't know, like his perfect like ideal, I guess.
His ideal woman in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Heavy quotation marks here.
And he did say that when he was writing this girl, the one celebrity that he had in mind, or like someone similarly looking to Emma Watson, but on the younger side of Emma Watson, and it's like, first of all, I'm not really impressed by this specific celebrity. I feel like a lot of men see something in her that I just don't get. She's not, to me at least, she's not very feminine, and she's not very, like, she doesn't represent the ideal of a woman, of like a fully grown woman. You look at her body, she barely has any curves. She doesn't. I mean,
I could definitely see that in like the Harry Potter movies for sure. I guess I haven't seen her recently, but
even now, she doesn't really. You have these celebrities that are celebrity women that used to be child stars, but now when you see them as what's the word I'm looking for? Like late teens or in their early 20s, they're suddenly, curvaceous, more statuesque.
She does kind of have a younger look about her. I can see that.
She has that baby face, like Jenna Ortega, for example.
Yeah.
Or Selena Gomez. It's just that eternal baby face. But it's not just that. It's also like the body.
Yeah.
There's
and
something.
I think a lot of people, when they think of her too, they they're not picturing her now. They're picturing her in Harry
True.
Potter, where she was like, either underage or barely.
In her iconic preteen stage.
Exactly.
Excuse the word, but prepubescent.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking gross. Anyways.
I hate this all around, so. All right, anyway.
So yeah, the plot essentially is that he works as a barista as he used to in real life. And then she walks in and, he's intrigued. And then it sparks something in him. Now, the transgressive piece of it is the transgressive part of it is that he works a job where he is surrounded by women, young women, and they are all aggressive or like semi-aggressive feminists. So they, with the new wave of feminism, he actually uses the word feminazi, I believe.
Oof.
Yeah. And you know what? On a base level, like I was picking up what he was laying down. I really was. I get it. Woke culture is getting completely out of proportion. It's just, it's not in a good place anymore. Feminism, the way that I see it, was like the movement started to right a wrong. But right now, I feel like we've gotten so lost and we've taken it so far that we are actually... it backfires essentially. Like this is not what it's supposed to be doing. Like, I do feel like a lot of it is just it's actually causing the genders to be driven further apart rather than bring us together. And it's just, but I'm talking about radical feminism, right? I'm not talking about, feminism as...
Yeah, not as a whole.
Yeah.
You're talking about a very specific subsection of feminism. We should have an episode about this, actually.
100% we should. Yeah. So he's surrounded by all these women and their shit agendas, and he just feels very misunderstood, especially as a white male. He feels like he's just guilty for getting up in the morning and breathing.
Oh my God. Okay.
Which, you know what? I'm not going to judge. I can definitely try to see things from his perspective, but at the same time, I've never been a white male in my life.
Yeah, but I feel like how much are white men suffering? Let's be real here.
I would guess...
I'm not talking about on an individual basis. I'm talking about as a whole.
I feel like, I think about these waves, or like, I call them waves of like, rallies or like movements that change things, like feminism and Black Lives Matter and all these, type of movements, LGBT stuff, like trans lives matter, whatever. I always think of these movements as pendulums. So all these parts of society have been so oppressed and suffered so much throughout the years that at one point, like, the pendulum went so far, and it will take time to slowly recenter and find the center again in order to make things right. But things are going to get so much worse before they're going to get better. You know what I mean? Things are going to go to the extreme before we can start finding perspective and kind of bring everyone together again. So I understand the rage, but at the same time, I just wish it didn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
And I've never been a white male, in my life, but it doesn't mean that they don't have a point. So just gonna say that. And so this is like the character's state of mind. And then he meets this girl and he feels like the the environment, because the girl that he is crushing on, she's got a friend, and that friend has an older sister who works with him, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point, so he feels like they're trying to suck her into their social kind of feminazi circle of evil.
Oh my god. Okay.
And then at one point he goes on a date with a coworker, and he thinks it's gonna go well, but she's on her phone the entire time. And then her coworkers find out as they're on the date. She is with them on a group chat, and then they find out that she's on a date with him. So they start, kind of slagging him off, and then she leaves because she cares so much what they're gonna say. So he becomes even more bitter and scorned and yada yada. And he's also like a bit inappropriate, so he makes these jokes that they don't really take well, like sexual stuff, or like he just comes off as an asshole sometimes, and he's like he's pointing out he's pointing out the double standard of it, because he's basically saying if this was a girl saying this to me, that shit would, no one would have even no one would have even cared, because she's a woman, because she's got tits, so she's allowed all these things. I mean, sure, there are double standards in society, I'm not gonna deny it. And it's unfortunate, because if we want equality, then it works both ways. We cannot scream equality and then what's right for us is not right for them, us as women versus men. Anyway, so I read the book. I really liked it. It gets crazier as the story progresses, and
that's what I've heard.
And I do mean like crazier in a sense that at one point she goes back. She was with her mom, and then she goes back to the store, and she's kind of giving him the eye, and they're kind of flirting, but then someone almost catches them, and the entire time you get this, at least when I was reading it, I got the feeling that, because I felt for him, actually. He's always like giving you, or at least me, the feeling that he's making a mistake by trusting her, because ultimately she is a child, and you can't trust a child with a secret. We can't be in a secret relationship if it's with a child. You'll never know what they will blurt out.
Yeah, but also like their brain isn't fully developed. Like
that as well. I mean, kids are psychopaths essentially. But yeah. So you kind of, at least for me, and that is something that surprisingly I did not feel with Humbert. I was never enamored or like charmed by Humbert. He never fooled me. But the character that he wrote felt a lot closer, and a lot more relatable. Especially like I will send you the first page of this book. I remember when I first read the first page of it. It starts in his head with his thoughts, and I was like, oh my goodness, could it be that I'm reading me? It's it had nothing to do with pedophilia or like being attracted to young people, but it's just in general, like his thoughts about the world, blah blah blah, his philosophies, I would say. Anyways, so there's constantly that feeling that he's getting deeper and deeper into something that he can't handle. Like, you can't control the situation once you're already in. And then it takes like a bit of a horror-ish twist. At some point, like I don't know how that happened, but he was having sex with her at the park, and then this child, literally a child, like a 6-year-old, sees them having sex, and then the child comes closer and closer, and he's fucking her, and then the girl that he is in love with, right? He's fucking her, and then she's kissing the 6-year-old kid
No.
on the mouth.
No.
And it's like, this is the
No. Are you fucking kidding me?
100% serious. And this is the only scene that I feel like I never got. Like, I never understood this specific scene. Or like its purpose, or like what it was trying to say. I don't know. This one was weird. I might actually have to revise it. It's very hard to freak me out, or like, I don't know what to call it, but it's very hard to
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's hard to get a reaction out of you because I'm the same way.
Nothing shocks me anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
So that was one scene that I really, really remember.
I mean, that shocked me, but
it didn't shock me. But what else? I was gonna say something else. I'll remember it. Or if I can remember, I will circle back to it.
Okay.
Anyways, so after that scene, a bunch of other shit goes down. There's a lot in the story. There's a lot of criticism about today's society. Like I said, how he goes on a date with this girl and she's on her phone all the time. I remember now. So the first time he wants to sleep with the girl, the 14-year-old girl, she tells him that she's on her period. But she also tells him that she's a virgin. Now, she's on her period, and she's a virgin, and she claims to be a virgin. So he's got no way of really telling. And I feel like that is also, in a way, like it's trying to say something about today's society and like the loss of innocence, and like how quickly or like how soon we lose our innocence. And then maybe being deceiving about it to kind of, I don't know, appear more attractive to the other person. I don't know, like what's the value of innocence really? Like, what's the price tag or whatever?
Does this only apply to women? Because I'm not seeing much criticism of men's loss of innocence here.
I mean, here's another double standard. This is another double standard. I feel like because for when a man is sexually experienced, then that's hot. But when a woman,
that's like, he's such a player. He gets all these women. He's so sexually experienced. But if it's a woman,
then she's a hoe.
She's exactly.
So you can look at that. That's one way to look at it as well. But so there's a lot of that, and that is the reason why I think that as a transgressive piece, and like completely, ignoring all the other factors. And what I think of him personally, I do think that it's a good book for what it's supposed to do.
I could see it working, I suppose, but
transgressive fiction is supposed to tell you something. Like it's supposed to be good criticism on society.
Yeah,
and it's
supposed to be outside of societal norms. Yeah,
yeah, it's supposed to make you think, and in a shocking way. So that is why I think that it's a good transgressive piece. But after watching him for all this time, and after talking to a lot of his other subscribers and kind of comparing notes, you start realizing that there might be something a bit darker and more sinister in there. So yeah, I guess we should leave it for the next part.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we're not even, we're like halfway there, but not almost, like half-ish. Should we do our recs and then wrap it up?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, do you want to start?
I don't know if I can recommend this yet, but I started reading What is Existentialism by Simone de Beauvoir, and I really like her writing. So I know I'm going to like this. I mean, I know, about existentialism already, but it's kind of interesting to see it from a fresh perspective. I've actually only read one of her books before, surprisingly.
Which one?
I read A Very Easy Death.
I read it as well.
Yeah, I really liked that book.
It's the only one that I read from her yet.
Yeah.
And then I sent it to my friend actually.
Yeah,
I read it.
Was
I
relatable.
liked it. Yeah,
it was very my mom passed away when I was 19, so like I could very much relate to like the watching somebody that you're close to kind of degrade that way.
Yeah, and
yeah, I mean, even though I read
you've got nothing to do. Like the feeling of helplessness.
Yes, exactly.
And their relationship was very complex as well. Like it wasn't, they had their they had an interesting dynamic for sure.
Yeah. I guess that'll be my recommendation for this week then, is A Very Easy Death by Simone de Beauvoir.
I recently bought another book from her. I have The Second Sex. I have on my shelf. Like they're waiting to be read. I don't know when I'll get to them, but I have The Second Sex.
The Woman Destroyed. I have that one as well on my shelf.
The Woman Destroyed. And then I have another one, but I forgot what it's called. So it was the last one that I picked up, but I forgot what it's called. But I definitely want to read more from her.
Absolutely.
I do feel, however, like I have to be in a certain mood for philosophy or poetry. Like I will not pick them up, just whenever.
Yeah. Actually, for some reason, I know we're kind of getting into Halloween season, so I'm probably going to maybe read some horror next. But September for me is always the month where I want to read nonfiction.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's because I've been out of school for many years, but I equate September with like academia and going back to school. So
for me, it's dark academia. September is dark academia.
Right. I mean that too. Yeah.
September, October.
We're getting into fall.
Yeah, but I do know that this winter I'm gonna read some Poe.
Oh yeah.
It's the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my god, I have so many. So since we've mentioned Halloween, I recently watched Beetlejuice for the first time.
Oh yeah.
I feel so
the new one.
No, the classic one for the first time. I feel like such an uncultured swine, but I loved it, and
yeah,
I've seen all of Winona's iconic
same.
movies except for this one, and this one is pretty fucking iconic.
Yeah.
I loved it. Michael Keaton really surprised me in this one.
Really?
Because he really surprised me in this one because I never saw him playing such an unhinged character. But it was so refreshing, and it's probably like my most, now that I've seen it, it's probably the most memorable role that I've seen him in.
Yeah.
Like this is the role that I'm going to take with me whenever I think about Michael Keaton next. It's going to be Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, yeah.
So good. And I also watched The Craft. Have you seen it?
I actually have not seen The Craft. I know.
You should check it out. I think you'll like it.
I'm speaking of being an uncultured swine. I've not seen The Craft.
Because it's the 90s aesthetics are so on point, and
I can believe it.
It's very fall gothic horror. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. Mm-hmm. So like it's giving charmed, charmed vibes sort of.
For sure.
So I watched these two movies. I wanted to feel the vibes a bit more, like get into the holiday spirit. And except for that, oh my goodness, we ended up not talking about how Jane Eyre is relevant to the story. Okay, yeah. I just, you know what? I'm just gonna give a little teaser. So
Oh, I have one more recommendation, but it's not academia related at all. But I'll put that. I'll add that later.
okay, so the reason why I was mentioning Jane Eyre is because Rochester had a crazy wife hidden away in the base in the attic. And then Emery had a crazy wife that he brought on, like an ex-wife, that he brought to the server, and it's just
the baby mama drama.
Yeah, and if she could try and burn me, best believe she would have done just that. She would have liked setting me on fire if she, if she could try, she would have done it for sure.
That's funny.
It's very funny. When I was reading the story, I was like, this feels fucking familiar. But so yeah, I finished Jane Eyre. It's for a classic. It's a relatively easy read, in a sense. Like, sure, it's written kind of like it's not modern day English, but it's not as, like, I feel like if you're a 17-year-old, like if you're high school age, you can still read it and understand it.
For sure.
It's perfect for the season, like the vibes. It's kind of thrillerish. I love how the Bronte sisters, they write love stories. The characters that they write when they are in love, their love drives them into madness, and it's tragic, but it's beautiful. You see that in Heathcliff. In Kathy, not so much, but you see that in Heathcliff. You see that, I would say, in both Rochester and Jane. There's a really, like the moors are very present. Like the landscape is very present. The descriptions
I love atmospheric books so
exactly much. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is it. Like the landscape plays such an important role. It's actually, like, it's embedded in the characters. It's beautiful to to think like that. And it's an inseparable part of the story.
Yeah.
And if the same story took place in a different country, it would not have the same effect. It would not be the same book, essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was just beautiful. It's 600 something pages. I think almost 700 pages.
Yeah, it's dense. It's a dense one.
Once I was finished, I really wanted to check out the adaptation with Michael Fassbender, and I don't know how to pronounce the actress's last name, but her first name is Mia something.
Okay.
And I think that she played Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
She is such a fabulous actress. She really is. So I watched the adaptation. I would like to check out other adaptations in the future. Now, the thing about this book, when I read it, because the classic, the classics, I feel like the book boyfriends that we see nowadays in, like, spicy romance and all that genre, they all somehow originated in the classic Darcy, Rochester, Heathcliff. Like those are the archetypes, right? So, but the thing about Rochester, and he's an ENTJ, by the way, I did not love him. Like, I was reading him, and I got such cringy vibes, like cringe. He's just so fucking cringe, and there's also, like, a huge age gap there. Now, I usually don't mind it that much. I mean, it's very hard to rattle me, or like it's hard for me to go, this is wrong. I feel like it's because for me, when I'm reading a book or when I'm watching a movie or whatever, I'm pretty good at setting a boundary, like a clear boundary between reality and the story. Like, this is
Right.
fiction. This has got nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what you have to do, especially when reading something like Lolita too, where you have to, you have to look past that and set that boundary for yourself.
Yeah,
much.
yeah, and I also feel like, I mean, it's kind of funny coming from a judger, but I feel like you almost have to turn off the judging.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In order to enjoy the ride, and then once it's done,
I feel the same way. Yep.
and then once it's done, sure, you can drop your conclusions, you can judge
Yep.
away, but like, it's just, don't, like, first have the experience and then decide. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, once
And
you're
when you're
in
a
there,
judger, that's a hard thing to do. Like, there were times
100%.
especially reading Lolita, where I physically cringe, and I'm like, okay, just set it aside, put that on the shelf for now. I'll think about that later.
Yeah, it's true. It's very, very hard. But so I watched the movie and I really, really liked it, and I found Rochester in the movie a lot more relatable. Because in the book, I didn't really see him, and I mean, Fassbender's face helped a lot. I love him, I really do. But I don't know, like, in the books, he was just so fucking cringe. Have you read Jane Eyre, by the way?
I have not.
So, and
I have it.
You're gonna read it? You're gonna read it?
Oh yeah. I have. I think I have it's in a collection that I have, so it's very dense.
Okay, so I'm not gonna spoil it further because I already, like, spoiled.
I mean, that's fine.
The major thing. I mean,
I don't
did
mind.
you know that this was what's going on?
No, but I'm
Oh my
fine with
goodness,
it.
I feel so bad because I've known for a very long time before I read the story that this is the twist. I've known it because it's known.
Yeah.
But let's just say that with Rochester, something happens at one point. We'll say 70% into the story, like once you reach that mark, something happens that just completely changed my attitude towards him, like made me feel differently. I would say a character arc in a way, like something changes essentially that makes me feel more for him. And like in the movie, it happened a lot sooner, probably because he had a face and like you could see everything. The adaptation itself, in my opinion, was just perfect because it was just, everything was just exactly as I imagined it. And sometimes it even exceeded my imagination, expectations, whatever. And I feel like that is also like a very difficult thing to achieve, especially, because you want to, when you're making an adaptation, you want to cater to the readers, but how are you going to do it when, every person imagines something else?
Oh, of course.
And I should now mention on that note that it was announced that they're going to make a new adaptation of Wuthering Heights. And they decided to cast Margot Robbie as Kathy.
Really?
And it gets worse. And Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff.
Huh.
Now, I love both actors. I really, really, really do. But
Margot Robbie is very much somebody with a very contemporary look to her.
I
cannot picture her in a historical setting.
First of
at
all, this is a fucking nightmare. Okay, for me, this is a fucking nightmare. Wuthering Heights is one of my all-time favorite books. I think it's a masterpiece. I loved it more than Lolita. I don't know how else to say this. I don't think that this, I mean, I've seen probably more than one adaptation. My favorite adaptation is the one with Tom Hardy, and I forgot his wife's name. He actually met her on the set of this movie. She played Kathy. I think her name is Charlotte Riley. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But they're both British, and so a lot of people, if I'm not mistaken, it was never specifically or like flat out mentioned that Heathcliff is a gypsy or like a person of color, but a lot of people assume that he is. So a lot of people will now bitch about how Jacob Elordi is white and Heathcliff is not supposed to be white. There was another adaptation, also super weird. Like, it wasn't something normal with acting. It was just, I don't know. It was a weird adaptation with Kaya Scodelario, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she was in Scam. No, not Scam. She was in, she was in Skins. Have you heard about that show?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So she was also in one of the latest Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
So she played Kathy, and then they chose a black actor, I think, or like a half black actor to play Heathcliff. But that adaptation was so fucking weird because they were trying to make it artsy and whatnot. Anyways, like, I don't. Why do you do this? This is a classic. Don't touch it. It's perfect just the way it is. It doesn't need another adaptation. Much less with someone like Margot Robbie. You know, and I love her, and I think that she's talented, genuinely.
I agree. No, I agree. I also love Margot Robbie. I just can't, like I said, I can't picture her in like a historical setting at all.
It's devastating to me because
it's probably because I'm picturing her as like Barbie and Harley Quinn, and like I don't know, maybe she'll kill it. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe, but unlikely. And also, I do feel like they're gonna miss the entire point of the story. I feel like it's gonna be very woke, just because this is what Hollywood does these days. I mean, this is the reason that I won't watch Barbie, because I feel like it's gonna shove all these agendas down your throat, and I just want to be entertained. I don't want to hear again with all, you know, all this bullshit. It's just,
I watched Barbie, but I was on a plane, and I was so stressed about being on a plane because I hate flying that I honestly
don't
really remember much of what happened in Barbie.
I mean, I was told that it's packed with all these insufferable woke agendas, so this is why I'm avoiding it. I don't want to get annoyed, and I feel like it had the potential to be better. And I'm saying this without even having watched it, but it had the potential of just being entertaining and funny. I don't want it to be, because I listened to the song from the Billie Eilish song, What Was I Made For? You know that one?
Yeah, I think so.
And it's already, you know, it's a beautiful song, but again, it's just, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with it. Like, at this point, I will be very harsh judger of like how feminism is being done and served. So I don't know. It's just, I saw that announcement and I was just so, don't fucking touch Wuthering Heights. It's unnecessary.
When is this adaptation going to be released? Do you know?
No, but I don't think they even started filming it. I think it just came out like the announcement that they are being casted. I mean, there's a possibility that one of them might drop out, even both, and they will get replaced. Who knows? I mean, these things change all the time. It's very dynamic. Let's hope so. Let's hope this entire thing just cancels. Like, let's hope for another, what was it, like the strike of the...
Oh, the Screen Actors Guild strike? Yeah.
Please, let's hope for that. It's just... I feel strongly about the story, so I would rather not.
I'm trying to think of a film adaptation of a book that I actually liked, and I can't, off the top of my head, think of really any, especially with like classic films. I can't think of any.
I feel like it's
they're really hard to nail, I feel like.
Really? I mean, I loved Keira Knightley's Pride and Prejudice. I love it. I thought it was... You probably like the Colin Firth one more, right?
I think I've seen... Oh, you know what? Okay, this is probably maybe a bit of a controversial take, but I actually... Not Pride and Prejudice, because I don't remember if I've seen it or not, but her when she was in Anna Karenina, I think she did pretty good.
I haven't seen that one.
I did kind of like that adaptation. It was very condensed, like from the books, but
I will watch it after because I'm gonna read Anna Karenina probably this December. I have it already. Like I have a list. So after I'm currently reading. Okay, so this is another thing. I'm currently reading The Sun Also Rises by Hemingway. And once I'm done with that, I will move to Count of Monte Cristo, and then after that, I'm gonna do Anna Karenina. And then and then I know thick, and thick. The girls are thick.
You could probably take out a guy with a copy of Count of Monte Cristo, I feel like.
And Anna Karenina. I'm going to hit him from both sides. From both sides. So once I'm done with the book, I'm going to watch the adaptation. But so adaptations that I really liked are Sense and Sensibility with Hugh Grant, Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley, and I'm forgetting something. But I did feel like the Persuasion one with Dakota Johnson was just a mess.
I absolutely cannot stand Dakota Johnson.
Why?
I don't know. She gives me, like, she's very much like a Nepo baby. Like, she gives me the Nepo baby, like, insufferable vibes.
Really?
Yeah.
I love her, but I just, I don't know. I feel like she could work well for what's it called, periodical stuff, but it just this specific. I think that the problem was in the directing, because it was trying to be funny and it ended up being very cringe. Yes, I was waiting for that.
It really just comes at random times. Like sometime between 6 and 6:30.
All right, we should probably wrap this up, but back to the adaptation. I just feel like with Persuasion, it was unnecessarily trying to be funny. Oh, also, what do you think about? Have you seen Emma with Anya Taylor-Joy?
No, I haven't. I need to, because I am a huge Anya Taylor-Joy fan.
I love her. And
I love her.
I really liked that one. I would be interested to know your thoughts, because I thought that one was pretty good. And this one was also funny, but like everything was done like tastefully, and not just. It wasn't cringe. Like, it wasn't trying so hard.
Yeah.
So 3 adaptations that are really good. Pride and Prejudice with Keira, Sense and Sensibility. And, I mean, Sense and Sensibility had Kate Winslet and Alan Rickman.
I love Kate Winslet, too.
she was so good. This movie, I must have seen it, like, countless of times already. And Emma. So these 3 I highly recommend.
Cool.
Yeah, so that is pretty much it. And we hope you enjoyed.
Sorry, really quick toss in, because I mentioned I was going to recommend. I have 2 things. A really good, I would say, young adult Dark Academia series that I want to reread. I read this in high school, and it's due for a reread, and I would consider this Dark Academia. Have you ever heard A Great and Terrible Beauty?
No, I've never heard of it.
There are 3 books in that series, and it's very, very good. We should read that together, and I would be curious to see what you'd think, because it's like magic Dark Academia.
A Great and Terrible what?
Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to add it to my Goodreads.
Yes, please do. My other recommendation, if you are not, sorry, this is so far off topic. If you are not on the Korean skincare bandwagon, I highly, highly recommend it, because my skin looks absolutely great right now. I am on that Korean skincare game. It is a life changer.
But what is it? Like, is it snail something?
There is like a snail serum that a lot of people use. I feel like Korean products are so much gentler on your skin.
That's true, yeah.
They are not harsh. They're
very light.
They are, yes. But yeah, definitely get on that if you haven't, because your skin will look very, very good.
All right, that's cool.
That's it for me.
Okay, so stay tuned for the next part. I honestly don't know how many parts this story time is gonna end up being, because
Probably,
it's just I keep finding, more and more.
Yeah.
More and more.
Let's just assume 3 and possibly 4.
Possibly 4. Because I just realized that, and I did not plan to talk about the book for so long, but I mean, you just have all these, how do I put this? Such steamy, juicy bits and pieces. You cannot, it's hard. It's hard to give them up.
This is also like things that happened years ago too. I'm sure.
Yeah,
your memory's
sexing up a minor at a at a, what's it called, like not even an amusement park. What is it, like a park? It's just a park, with like or in the woods. I'm not. You know what? I'm gonna have to reread that scene and get back to you. God. To really get the details down.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.